this is a pattern that you could. I just call it a split wing caddis, but it can. I think it would also be a good imitation for a spruce moth. So I'm going to tie this. Tie my thread in and then bring it back up about midway. And I'm going to tie in some sparkle emerger yarn for, I don't know if you want to call it a tail or a trailing shuck or whatever. Just wrap this down. Maybe put a wrap underneath, and then I'm going to clip this off fairly short. Go ahead and cover all that stuff up. Okay. So I'm going to take a piece of, this is just embroidery floss that you can get at your local fabric shop. It comes in, so each strand has 6 of these smaller strands, so you just peel them off. This is going to be the ribbing. Just work my way back, and then I'm going to use a lighter colored dubbing. This is that Beaver Plus dubbing in cream. And this, I don't know if you can see, but I'm using a bit more dubbing on this than I've used in the other flies. I want kind of especially if this is going to imitate a spruce moth, I'm going to chunk this up a little bit. And then I'm going to counter wrap with this embroidery thread. Clip that off, and then you can use a number of materials to split after I tie in the hair. I'm going to split it down the middle, but I found that a piece of 2mm foam works really well, and I clipped a little V in there just to try to cut down on the bulk. So just tie that in. And get another clump of elk hair. And go through the process of stripping all the fuzzies out. Usually elk hair, if you get a good patch of elk hair, you can strip it all out with your fingers without having to resort to using a comb. give it a stack. And I'm going to tie this in basically the exact same way I did on the elk hair caddis. So with a couple of loose wraps, and cinch it down. Lift up a third, lift up a third. Except this time I'm going to pull all those butts forward. And put it in another couple of wraps. So now I'm going to take my thumb and push it down on top of that foam, and I'm just trying to get an even distribution of hair on either side. And once I've got it about right, then I'm going to take the foam and pull it in between. I'm going to take just a couple of wraps with my left hand just to get it in place. Now you can kind of manipulate that hair a little bit. I'll put in some more wraps. And then I'm going to lift everything up. Put in a whip finish. Hair doesn't want to cooperate. That off, and now I'm going to take the foam plus all the butts, try to pull them, and clip them off together to create a head. And now everything is still kind of a mess. And at this point you can look to see whether or not you split that. Sometimes it doesn't always split very evenly. If it's not, just clip off a couple of the hairs that you don't want to even it out. But this is a pattern that I'm actually going to put a little bit of adhesive on. So I'm just going to take some head cement with my bodkin and put it in right in that little groove where I tied down the foam. And if you want, you can even put a drop underneath. So that'll lay fairly, that's going to lay nice and flush on the water. You should be able to skate that across the surface pretty well. But you could also use, instead of foam, you could use CDC to split the wings. I find that the CDC fibers tend to, the hair wants to grab onto the CDC fiber, so sometimes it works, but the foam is easier.